Hello, my friends. Let's dive right into this situation on the front line, starting with the Kharkiv direction. In the past day, the occupiers launched 20 airstrikes with guided bombs, and shelling continues relentlessly. However, their offensive actions around the village of Lyptsi haven't been successful, and today the attacks have ceased. There are no changes along the front line. In the Vovchansk direction, the occupiers are also not conducting active assaults. There are occasional street battles, but the Ukrainian forces have the upper hand. Over the past day, the front line has remained unchanged. In the Kupiansk direction, the occupiers are also carrying out shelling, and offensive actions have been recorded near the village of Petropavlivka. However, around Synkivka and Stepova Novosilka, all of yesterday's attacks have failed, and there are no changes along the front line. In the Svatove area, the occupiers continue to attack Stelmakhivka, and battles are being recorded near Myasozharivka. Further south, they are still trying to break through towards Druzhielubivka. So they have conducted several assaults over the past day, but all have been unsuccessful. In the Kreminna direction, the occupiers conducted 9 assaults, attempting to storm the village of Nevske and improve their positions in the forest near Kreminna. However, despite the difficult situation, the Ukrainian forces are holding the defense and are not retreating from their positions, so the front line remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers continue their attempts to break through to Verkhnokamianske and have conducted 4 assaults over the past day. They have also resumed attacks on Bilohorivka. However, they haven't achieved any success, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Chasiv Yar direction, Russian forces are persistent in their attempt to capture Kalynivka and advance towards Ivanivske. The situation in Klishchiivka also remains challenging. Periodically, the occupiers conduct assaults and shelling continues unabated. But over the past day, the Ukrainian forces have held the defense, and there have been no changes on the front line. Additionally, there have been reports of explosions in Luhansk today. So it's possible that the Ukrainian forces are continuing to target the rear positions of the occupiers. In the Pokrovsk direction, the situation is the most challenging. Even the general staff has stated that this is the hottest spot on the front line. Here, the Russians are actively using caps for shelling the frontline territory. Over the past day, they have conducted more than 20 assaults. The main battles are taking place near Novoalexandrivka, Arkhangelsk, then the village of Sokil, Yevgenivka, Novopokrovsk, Novoselivka, Persha, and once again fighting has started in the area of Yasnobrodivka. Shelling of Kharkivka continues, and while the Ukrainian forces are managing to repel the attacks, experts predict that if such pressure continues, it may be necessary to retreat to more advantageous positions again. This may not only apply to the Pokrovsk direction, but also to the Chasiv Yar area. This indicates one thing: there are no strong defensive lines that the Russians would have to break through for a long time. Instead, weak defensive lines are being broken by caps and artillery, which means that the advance continues. Therefore, today it's very important to secure the sky, and if the Ukrainian forces manage to stop the work of aviation in the summer, then all Russian successes will end, leading to the most significant turning point in the war. So this is most likely what will happen, but for now the situation remains extremely difficult. As for aviation, It's reported that there are still an insufficient number of pilots and support personnel. In the United States, they plan to fully train 12 pilots by the end of September. Another 8 will be trained in Denmark by the end of November. The center in Romania is not yet operational. A full squadron requires 40 pilots. If training continues at this pace, it will take about 1.5 years to reach this number. As we can see, the progress is very slow. In the Kurakhove direction, the occupiers are once again shelling the village of Kostyantynivka, and there are periodic assaults on the village of Paraskovivka. Street fighting continues in Krasnohorivka, but yesterday's attacks on Gheorghivka were unsuccessful. The front line remains unchanged, just as before. In the Vuhledar direction, fighting for Urozhaine continues, and attacks on Staromayorsk have resumed. At the same time, the occupiers are once again trying to break through in new directions, and this time they are advancing towards Novodarivka. There is also ongoing shelling along the front line, but no new successes have been reported for them. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, it's reported that the occupiers launched one attack on Mala Tokmachka, but the Ukrainian forces successfully repelled it, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kherson direction, the occupiers have again started actively using aviation and striking with glide bombs in the area of Kherson. Attacks on Kreminna are also continuing, but there have been no changes along the front line. Russian war correspondents are again writing that drones are causing them significant difficulties. Right now, there are many complaints about our inaction regarding enemy drones. A lot of information about the enemy's use of various types of unmanned aerial vehicles is being sent to the relevant departments and other common points of the HQ of the Dnieper grouping. But all this information is discarded because it cannot be included in the Commander and Chief of Staff's report right here and now. This report is prepared twice a day, and all the common points are solely focused on preparing these reports rather than on their primary functions of analyzing the situation and managing operations. As it's often said now, everything else in the headquarters of the grouping is absolutely irrelevant. We only deal with what we are held accountable for, and that's the report. So we focus on the reports, and that's how we fight. In general, the Soviet army remains a Soviet army. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, new bridges are emerging due to the lowering water levels in the Dniester River in Bukovina. A submerged bridge from the time of the German occupation has surfaced. The crossing was built over the left tributary of the Dniester River, the Chershina River, and the roadbed was paved with stone cobblestones. The structure was erected by German engineers in the early 1940s, and in the 1980s the bridge was flooded due to the construction of the Dniester hydroelectric station and the rise of water in the Dniester basin. At the same time, Russian propaganda continues to entertain the public. So what grown adults are saying is even laughable to listen to, but Russians still believe them.
То, что американцы все равно на Украине возьмут все под свой контроль, у меня в этом нет сомнений. Но на данном этапе влияние британцев, еще раз подчеркиваю, на политическое руководство страны гораздо выше, чем американское.
Ничего не возьмут, мы им не дадим Украину. Хреном они Украину. Пусть себе забирают остатки, носовой платочек, своих шавок убирают.
А Украину... чем они торговаться с вами будут?
Вот
они как раз Украине
не надо с нами ничем торговаться, мы и так все возьмем. Да. Вот это пусть с нами торгуются Лиссабоном, а со мной кома.
Кстати, одна фраза буквально, Владимир Ильич. Ну, для
Я
того, чтобы
готов
уже
забрать
понять,
Ломбардию.
С этой вашей идеей, что не надо никому отдавать Украину, причем всю, я абсолютно согласен.
Ну
Но
вы как
вы
русский,
себе
русский
сами
гражданин, конечно, не хотите никого.
Вы себе сами противоречите. Если вы не хотим отдавать Украину никому, зачем бомбить Киев?
Потому что нахрен надо всю нацистскую сволочь уничтожить.
Подождите.
Понятно зачем?
Говоря-
Очистить. Вы когда-нибудь от клопов пытались избавиться?
Не, у меня не было клопов.
Не было? Потому что вы ни разу не были во Франции. Были бы во Франции,
бывал во
вернулись бы с
Франции, но,
клопами.
слава богу, минуло.
Понимаете, вот украинский народ должен избавиться от клопов.
Нет.
От нацистских клопов, которые вот
видите,
сели ему на шею.
удивительно, уважаемый ведущий, я с вами в этом тоже
А
согласен.
вот, да. Так
Оказывается.
вот, украинский народ, вот как ребята одесситы, которые 14 года воюют на Донбассе, честь и хвала. А те, которые сейчас по Крещатику, сытые, наглые, знайте, вы коллаборанты.
Если говорить,
Вы будете уничтожены.
Если говорить не о войне,
Не мною,
ну нельзя не говорить о
а
войне,
небесным гневом. Потому что, как нам говорил Василий Дмитриевич, есть проклятие. Есть же?
безусловно.
Что было сказано, вы нам сами
Безусловно.
говорили. Поэтому, Василий Дмитриевич, Киев
Нет.
будет... Киев что может сказать? Василий Дмитриевич, ну против Бога пошли.
А,
Все, хана Киеву.
So Biden also said that the Russians will not stop at Ukraine.
Ukrainians are fighting with extraordinary courage, suffering great losses, but never backing down. The United States and NATO and a coalition of more than 50 countries standing strong with Ukraine. We will not walk away. Because if we do, Ukraine will be subjugated, and it will not end there. Ukraine's neighbors will be threatened. All of Europe will be threatened. And make no mistake, the autocrats of the world are watching closely to see what happens in Ukraine, to see if we let this illegal aggression go unchecked. We cannot let that happen. To surrender to bullies, to bow down to dictators is simply unthinkable. Were we to do that, it means we'd be forgetting what happened here in these hallowed beaches. Make no mistake, we will not bow down. We will not forget.
We hope that there will be no further delays with new aid packages and that the weaponry will arrive on time. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.